voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test, laid all your doubts to rest.
Hi everybody, welcome to a new episode of Intuitive Queens podcast from your Intuition Queen. Today I have a big honor to have with me a very, very amazing woman. Her name is Lana Nelson, or Lana from Montana, as she says. She's an author and intuitive nutritionist. Hi Lana, welcome here.
Hi there. So happy to be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So you are an intuitive nutritionist, and you talk a lot about food and intuition, which is something that I'm super interested in. And I read your book and it's amazing. And I really, really resonate with it. But before we dive into your book, I'd love for you to tell us your story and how that got you to come here and do what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. How it all started? Well, I was born. No, just kidding. I was always pretty healthy through life, and my mother, fed us healthy and so on. I learned to cook as I grew up, let's see, probably back in about the early, let's say mid 80s or so, I was in a car wreck. This is how my book, The Food Codes, we'll talk about more. This is kind of how my book came about. So I was in a car wreck. I owned a dental lab at that time, and I was delivering a set of dentures, and I was rear-ended by a semi-truck. So I had head, neck, shoulder injuries. I had an ambulance ride to the hospital, and fast forward that 10 years, I actually spent 10 years of going to different doctors, neurologists, trying to get out of constant headache pain. Headaches, and it was hard, I didn't have a range of motion. I couldn't turn my head. It was pretty much frozen. My arms, I had pain from the bottoms of my feet to the tops of my head, including that 10-year-long headache. And one of my neurologists said to me one day, he goes, "I think you should see a chiropractor. You might get some help with that." So in the meantime, I had been trying different types. I had been trying nutrition. I had been juicing. Now you got to understand, back in the mid 80s, juicing was really weird. Okay. Going to a chiropractor was okay. It's very open now, but some of massage therapy was, just coming into being okay then.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And energy medicine back in those days, you didn't say energy medicine. That's it was, a lot of those things were really weird. And so I said to a friend of mine one day, I actually started seeing a chiropractor and for adjustments, and it helped my headache a lot. And so in the meantime, I was taking massage, I was having chiropractic, and really looking into nutrition and food for healing. I said to my friend, I was a single mom at that time. I actually had 6 little kids.
Wow.
And so single mom with 6 kids, that's a big deal, okay?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes, and I had a very busy dental lab. Even with all the, discomfort that I was in, I still had to support those little kids, okay?
Yeah.
And so anyway, one day I said to my friend, as I was kind of going through my closet, I said, "You know what? I should marry a chiropractor. I'm seeing one 3 times a week." So we laughed, girlfriends talking. We just laughed and thought, oh, that was a funny joke. Well, I ended up being set up on a blind date with a chiropractor. Actually,
not the one that you were seeing, right?
Yes, one of those really interesting things. Like you say it and the universe goes, "Oh, okay, we'll order that for you."
That's amazing.
But so I met this wonderful chiropractor, Dr. Bruce Nelson. Within about 2 weeks, I was out of pain. I had range of motion in my head, neck, and shoulders. And he, in his practice, we got married about a little over a year later. And as he used energy medicine,
Mm,
chiropractic and energy medicine, he did a form of what's called muscle testing. And we can
right.
talk more about that in the show. But in that, um, I started working with him in his practice because I was so fascinated by it. And I, with food being part of my healing
Mm,
progress, I suggested that we do test his patients using muscle testing or energy testing to see what their best healing foods were. So
mm,
that is kind of a, shortish, longish story of how I came up with the food codes. I did energy testing, muscle testing to test what the best foods were for his patients to heal, to get out of pain. And fast forward that, we had so many people saying, wow, you need to write a book about this. And that morphed forward several years later to the food codes, intuitive eating for everybody.
mm.
So that's kind of
And
how it came about.
that's fantastic. It's such an amazing story that you say you want to marry for jokes and then you marry one and actually you started to have a business together. That how your book comes alive. I read your book and I was hooked to your book because you are one of the very few people that talks about intuition and food in a way that means you can eat everything as long as your body agrees, which for me it's an amazing concept because I, I, if I think about myself, luckily I don't need to do any diet or something to lose weight or those kind of things. But when I think about it, I'm like, I don't think I would want to, stop eating this or stop eating that. And I really like that for you is your body already knows what you want to eat, what is good for you. So tell us a little bit more about this concept of not having to remove what everybody says. And you were talking about juicing, and there is a diet about stop eating meat or just have this particular thing without having the and then you're discompensating on a lot of benefit from other meals.
Yes. There's so much confusion these days. And there's a new diet coming out pretty much every week. And even some of the very famous diet books and the diet doctors have changed their minds over the years. And from, one point in time, oh, this is what you should eat to be really healthy or lose weight. And then a few years later, they go, no, no, no. Science has told us this is now what you should be eating. So depending on science and depending on the whims, you don't have to do that. You can actually tune in to your intuition. Your body, your subconscious mind knows exactly what you need to eat at any point in time.
Mm,
It knows whether your body needs a lot of vegetables right now. It knows whether juicing is good for you or bad for you right now. It knows if olive oil or coconut oil are your best fats. And it also knows, it just basically knows everything. So, and here's a kind of a caveat is, so today, the foods that are good for me in about 3 months or in another period of time may not be my best foods. Our
right.
body is ever changing. So
That's
let's
right.
say you have tried, one of your listeners has tried a diet that they used at one time, and oh, they felt so good on it, their skin glowed, they got to their optimum weight, and then a few months later, a couple years or something, they try that again. That's like, what is wrong with me? That
Mm,
doesn't work. So there's nothing wrong with you. That's one of the messages I want to get across to people is not you, that, and trying something 2 years ago may not work for you now. Your body is an ever changing, you're an ever changing living being,
Yeah.
interfacing with your stress, interfacing with your body's needs. So something good for you right now may not be good for you at another time. But I show you how that you can know and how you can actually tap into your intuition.
Yes, let's do this. And I know you talk about muscle testing, and I've done this before, and it's shocking how good it is and how precise it is. So tell us, how do you tune into your intuition and you understand which food is the best one for you?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about energy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that is energy. And we do hear that a lot this day. There's becoming a wonderful paradigm shift of our bodies being a frequency, our bodies being a vibrating energy. Foods, every food has its own DNA, its
Mm-hmm.
own frequency, its own vibrating energy. And we can tune in, what I mean is by tuning into our subconscious mind or our inner knower, which actually does interface with other energy. We can actually tune into the energy of a pear or an apple, and by that we can tune in via our subconscious mind. Now, if you've heard of a lie detector test, okay? A lie detector is a computer, and it tunes in with the energy of the person that is being measured. And so that energy, our body, we all actually have our own lie detector test inside of us. It's called that inner knower, that inner wisdom, or
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious mind, which is most of our intelligence is in that subconscious mind. So our mind is like a binary computer, which is a lie detector test. It can detect a lie, a truth, or a falsehood. So a yes or a no answer, let's
Mm.
say. With muscle testing, we can actually ask, let's say I have an apple in front of me. I should have brought an apple here, but we're going to imagine I have an apple. We can tune in with muscle testing and we can ask, is this apple a best food for me right now? And what we want to eat are our best foods. And so I can ask with muscle testing, and I'll give you a couple of answers. There are many ways of doing muscle testing or kinesiology.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just depends on a strong muscle or a weak muscle. So let's say I'm holding my finger out right now, and this finger, I'm telling this finger to give me a strong yes and be very strong when I give it an answer, when I ask a question. I can bring my middle finger over top. I can say, give me a strong yes, and just lightly pushing down, my finger remains solid. I can say, give me a weak no, and my finger absolutely drops.
Mm.
You can do that by testing your arm. For instance, let me see if I can just get up here a little bit. Your arm, you can press down on this. You can test yourself. You can test
Mm-hmm.
another person. So give me a strong yes. My arm remains strong. Give me a weak no. And that arm just drops.
Mm.
So you're basically testing a muscle. Another way to easily muscle test is you just stand up straight. And of course, don't do this while you're driving or anything else, any of your listeners, but say, give me a yes, and you will move forward. Your body just standing straight and your legs kind of loose. Give me a yes, your body sways forward. Give me a no, your body sways away. You always go forward to truth and away from negativity. So
Mm.
that's kind of a muscle testing primer, if you will, just a little bit about muscle testing. So using muscle testing, and let's get back to this imaginary apple in my hand, I can say, is this one of my best foods right now? And I could get a strong yes or a
Mm-hmm.
weak no. And so that's kind of an example of muscle testing. You can use muscle testing to test, and you can use a broad way to use muscle testing.
Mm.
I give you pictures, as you know from reading my book. I give you
Yes.
exactness on how to do muscle testing, pictures to show how very simply to do it, um, and what do I want to say? If you're having troubles, you can troubleshooting too with muscle testing. So
Mm.
teach you how to do that in my book. So it makes it really, really easy. So then you can actually muscle test foods. You can use this as you're shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You can use this as you're going through the grocery store. Are these the best apples for me? Are the organic? Are the other apples? What kind of apples? So you can use, and you can keep it very, very simple. You can use it as you're in a restaurant. You can actually open the menu and you can test. Oh, is there a best meal for me? And you of course would know your best foods, but you can test, oh, is that best meal for me on the left page here? Yes or no? No. Is it on the right page here? Yes or no? Okay. And then you could actually test what is the best meal for you today. So you can
Yeah.
use it in wonderful ways. You can use it standing in front of a buffet. So muscle testing it's easy to learn. It's basically um, you learning to use muscles, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, as if you were and practicing. So if it doesn't work for you right away, it's a case of practicing,
Yeah.
as you wouldn't just zip on out to run a marathon right away. You would practice.
Train.
So
Of course. Of
muscle
course.
testing practice, tapping into your own intuition about that. You can use it for yourself, testing yourself. You could also use it for testing others and your pets to find out your pet's best food as well. Does that
That's
give you some?
amazing. Yeah, no, it's fantastic because it's so true. We have everything within us, and we always look for things outside when really it's just a matter of understanding how to do muscle testing and also how to practicing. So then you feel comfortable that the answer is correct, and yeah, or the yes is a real yes and the no is a real no. Because I know that
Yeah.
people might get into confusion mode or second guessing mode, but maybe it did this or no. But so it's really a matter of practicing and understanding your yes and your no, and making sure, okay, so then you can do it straight away and it's quicker, because
Yes.
I know that at the beginning might sound like a long process to do, but once you get into it, it's going to be very quickly. Like, as you said, you pass by the aisle of the fruit and veg, and you know very quickly which one are the best for you.
Yes.
Um, and I think that people will want to know, how can I get through the list of all the food that I'm supposed to eat? And I know you have um, resources on your website, and you have a list of foods. So then you have everything there. You can do it from home, and you can know which one right now is the one for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everything. I teach you. My book is for anyone who's never muscle tested, who's never thought about, gosh, there. I can ask myself. It's about a relationship with
Mm,
yourself, because we
yeah.
lose our relationship with food from a baby, and then growing up, we depend on so many other people to tell us what's good or bad for us. No, that's right inside of us, and it has been since we were born. But the book is so easy to use. It teaches you, shows you all along the way how to use the method, and then how to clear any blocks,
Mm,
and teaches you how to cook too. I have a really great, let's say, not necessarily recipe section, but recipe template section,
mm-hmm.
that if you've never boiled water, you can learn. You can learn how to easily put your foods together. So people will ask me, okay, so I know my best foods now, but that's not my partner's best food, or that's
Mm,
not, how do I feed my family? I give you lots of examples on how to do that, how to have, how to get your family together, and how to very easily feed everyone with different needs. And how to do that, I give you tons of examples and graphs, and my food list is really amazing and wonderful. It's
Agree?
many pages. You can download that. So
Yeah.
pretty
Do
give
you
you
have the
everything
book
and
so we
examples.
can show the cover? Because I think your book has a beautiful cover, but at the same time, yeah, so this is the book. So for whoever is watching, this is the book. You gotta have to have this book because it's really, really, as Lana says, very simple. And there are a lot of exercises and techniques, and she explains everything super well. And it's for everybody. And you can
Yes.
try and you can learn. Um,
This says Lana's kitchen because I keep you'll want to keep one in your kitchen. I have that up there so I don't give it away to anybody or whatever. So I keep it
Right.
in my kitchen because it is a book you can actually use in your kitchen and use with the templates and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So there we go.
There is a lot of amazing information there. I absolutely loved it. And I love what you just said. You talk a lot about the first relationship that we have, which is between us and the food, with the milk that
Yes.
our mother gives us. And then we continue to that. And as you said earlier, we disconnect from that. And I also very much love the fact that you have a lot of examples and testimonials in your book, which is a variety of situations, from the person that has been doing diets forever and maybe lost some weight and then all of a sudden never managed to do it again, tried everything, and then she works with you and changes the whole of her life. And also people that have a lot of pain, because the food diet is not just about losing weight, it's also about the overall of feeling healthy and having a healthy body. And as it happened to you, releasing the pain, because we're talking again about emotions.
Yes. Yes, and emotions can be a big part of our lives. And if you think about it, emotions are a frequency that you can't see, and those frequencies of emotions. Food has the frequency, so we have a frequency. You actually can have emotions that are keeping you from releasing weight. You can have emotions that are telling you, well, I'm not a good cook. I can't cook. I just really need to eat out. And I give you a couple of really cool exercises in. If you have blocks to cooking, if you have blocks to using the program, it's to helping yourself. It's actually not necessarily so much about the program as a lifestyle. It's teaching you and showing you how to really never diet again, and how to. It's freedom. It's freedom from dieting and freedom from uh, from the opinions of others, even your
Yes.
best friend.
Yes. Yes. And that's amazing because, when you feel that you have to do certain things and they don't work, you just get frustrated even more. Or when you are in constant pain and you eat something that is not good for you, you just feel more frustrated. And this really gives you freedom and that fulfillment to, use your energy, feel better to do other things and to enjoy life, which is what everybody wants to do.
Very, very true. It gives you freedom. It
Mm.
it just it helps you feel good in your body. It can help with conditions of, whatever has been going on with you, and you can stop saying, "What's wrong with me?
Mm.
What's wrong with me? Why I can't feel good, or I can't lose weight, or that works for you. Why doesn't it work for me?" Well, whatever works for you. Your foods are different than my foods,
Yeah.
so we wouldn't follow the same food plan.
Exactly. We talked about the emotions, and in your book, you talk about the emotion code.
Yes.
So, which is releasing the emotions that are keeping the energy stuck, and therefore they're not allowing you to move forward in whatever area of your life. And in this situation, you apply it to food, and you do emotional code first, and then you go with the food code, and you combine them together. And this is such a powerful combination, in my opinion. Would you like to talk to us about the food code, the emotion code, a little bit more?
Yes, the emotion code. My brother-in-law, actually my husband's brother, my husband is Dr. Bruce Nelson. His brother, Dr. Bradley Nelson, has written a fabulous book called The Emotion Code. And he says that my book is a companion book. The Food Codes is a companion book with the emotion code, as we are all, we have a lot of emotions. We're emotional beings. Our life is colored beautifully by emotions. Sometimes an energy of an emotion can be trapped in the body,
Right.
and it creates like a speed bump. So let's say as you're a child and you're eating and your mother's trying to stuff food in your mouth all the time, and you're not, you're not hungry anymore. You're really kind of full. In my book, I teach you how to really get back to understanding when you're hungry and when you're not, eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. And I give you muscle testing exercises to show that sometimes we can have emotions that are stuck, like disgust. When somebody's trying to, as a young child, feed you, broccoli, and you're going, whoa, that's way too strong for me right now, or it's super mushy. And later on, you find out that maybe you had a trapped emotion of your mother overfeeding or something. So yes, you can have definite emotions around food. And occasionally you might have, let's say we eat to medicate ourselves. There's a lot of news on the internet about that, medicating ourselves by eating. So if you're finding yourself overeating, now on my website, you can actually, I have a link to some free stuff associated with emotions and that emotion code. And so on my website, you could
What's
go
the name of your website?
thefoodcodes.com. The
Okay.
food codes with an S, thefoodcodes.com. And I have a link to where you can find more about the emotions there as well.
Because I feel that food and emotions are connected mainly by guilt. Because when you mentioned when you're a child, your mom tried to feed you, or I just remember, we have to finish this. Come on, have this last bit. We cannot leave it there. We're not going to waste the food, and that creates a lot of guilt, because and now you hear a lot of there are people that are less fortunate than you should be grateful that you eating. You have to eat that, and maybe you are super full, you really cannot do it, but the guilt kicks in, so you do it, and then that it's bad for you because you're overeating and you're stuffed, and then you feel maybe bloated or whatever. So I know in your book you talk a lot about what we have been told and how that consequence of the limiting belief that we have and the emotions stored in our body is affecting us in our relationship with the food.
True. And some people, food relates to a really happy time in their life. And so they might overeat on that particular time. It's pretty interesting. Soda pop, we kind of have addictions to soda pop these days. And I've worked with several people who just couldn't kick the addiction of certain kinds of soda pop. And really getting into it, it related to a time in their life, let's say when they were a child, and their parents, they didn't have a lot of soda pop. The only time they drank it was maybe when they went on a camping trip. They took some soda pop, and so that person soothed themselves to feel good when they started feeling down and out. And it's like, I need a good soda pop right now to make me feel happy. But also, like you mentioned, that we've lost the feeling of fullness. We don't know exactly when we're full sometimes because we've been groomed or forced to overeat. And so I give you some really cool tips as well as exercises in my book to show you how to know when you're full, how to actually muscle test when you're full, because you are full long before you feel it. Okay.
Yeah.
and how to know really if you are hungry or if you're just wanting a distraction. If you're truly hungry, eat. And sometimes you might be hungry 3 or 4 times a day. Sometimes you might only be hungry really once a day. But I give you lots of tips on that, on how to really discover if you are. And I have a great story of, if you'd like me to tell it,
Yes, please.
about when I discovered that for myself. Okay, well, while I was writing the book, and that particular area of the book of knowing when you're hungry, knowing and knowing when you're full, stop eating when you're full, I made myself a cup of chicken soup, just a little cup of brothy soup, and I sat in a quiet place, got my spoon, and I'm eating it out of the cup, sip by sip and bite by bite, just feeling and intuiting into myself, am I full yet? Thoroughly enjoying it, feeling the taste of it and everything else, just really getting together with my soup. And all of a sudden, there was maybe about a half an inch left in the bottom of the cup, just a few more bites. And I started to take another bite, and it was almost like my body did a lock and a click.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, what was that? I'm full. I'm full. I look at my cup with just a little bit left, and I think, I can finish that up. There's not very much. And my body said, don't. My body said, don't. That's what you're looking for, is that fullness. So I went and I poured the rest of it down the disposal, and it was almost like a freeing. It was very freeing to know I did not have to eat the rest of that, and my body did not want the rest of it.
And this is
So,
so important. And I love that you
yeah.
shared this story.
Well, and you will know it. And when you start practicing that, your body truly thanks you. You feel happier, you feel satiated, you're not bloated and stuffed and miserable after you eat. Eating should be a delightful
Yeah.
experience with your best friend,
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, and I love that. I absolutely love this. In terms of sharing stories, I mean, we could talk about your book forever because I loved it so much. I really I normally eat what I feel I want, but it really made me think, do I actually need this instead of do I want this? It's just a very
Uh-huh.
simple switch. Does my body want this? And I surprised myself how many times my body said yeah, no, because it was me wanting it. But then I was like, do you want it? Do you need it? It's just so simple, but it changes everything. And I realized that I only eating when I'm feeling really hungry, and I am avoiding to eat things in between that sometimes, it's just for distraction, as you said, or if you are working in an
Mm-hmm.
office, you might just be bored. I remember
Yeah.
when I used to work in this toxic environment, and I would just go down the shop to get out of the office for a few minutes, get some fresh air, and buy some crap food just to do something that was better than being annoyed and bored where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely.
Well, and with that thought, the sayings that I really love the most is, do your best and bless the rest. Okay.
Mm,
Gratitude for what you're eating, be grateful, and you don't always have to be totally starved. And because a lot of people, okay, so you're talking about the food codes, we're talking about food, and people are thinking, okay, I'm going to be deprived.
mm,
I'm going to be deprived. I can never eat chocolate cake again.
mm.
And that's just not true. There's sometimes you really want to eat something like, a Twinkie or a piece of chocolate cake or something.
Yeah.
Do your best. Don't deprive yourself, okay? Bless it. Give gratitude. Because what happens is you're eating this wonderful piece of chocolate cake and you're going, I know this is not good for me, but I
Mm,
really want to eat it, and I'm eating it. Well, if you're saying and telling yourself this is not good for me, it's not.
yeah.
If you're saying, oh, I love you, thank you, and eat it with joy and gratitude, bless it, give thanks for it, at least shower some gratitude on it, and every bite go, nom, nom, oh, that is so delicious. My body's loving it. Your body will love it.
Yeah, it's so true. And, everything that we think comes back to us. So if we talk negative to us, this is what we receive. So if we say, I shouldn't have it because, it's not good for me, this is what you're telling your body. So no wonder that maybe you feel bloated, or that chocolate cake is going to have an effect on you. But as you said, if you say, oh my God, I love you so much, and I'm so happy to have you after I haven't had you for so long, your body just
Yes.
gonna absorb it and be happy with it, and that's it, because it's a different kind of mindset. And again, always to say that we are always connected, interconnect, everything is around us is connected, mind, body, and spirit, and everything that is around us is connected to us.
Very true. Very true. Nice to connect with you today.
and same. I'd like for you to share a couple of stories, if you have any,
All right.
that you might think are could be informational and inspirational for our audience today.
Okay. One story is about a woman that I worked with a couple of years ago, and she could eat hardly anything. Everything she ate just made her have bloating, gas. She felt very, very sick. She was allergic to just about everything. Now, in her, and this is not an uncommon story. Okay, I worked with this story could be applied to several different names of people that I've worked with. But this particular woman, she could eat no wheat, she could eat no dairy, she just was very sad. She couldn't eat eggs. And I think her story is in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But the short end of that story is we did a food plan for her and tested which foods that she could eat. One of the foods that came up was sourdough bread. And she said, oh, no, I can't eat any form of wheat. And when you come up, and here's a tip when you're doing your food code, if you come up with a food that you might not be able to eat, it might be that you need some type of a nutrition in that food. Well, she tried a little bit of sourdough bread because she said, I crave bread so much and I haven't been able to eat any bread for years. What she found out, that actually she could eat a good sourdough bread, a real sourdough bread. And she was so grateful for that. In working with her to clear some food allergies, some intolerances, and she was very strict with her food plan, and it's not a diet, by the way. It is just a way of changing your eating, because when you do that, your body seems to become, for lack of a better word, stronger and stronger, or I want to say balanced. So from going totally out of balance to back to balance, and using food and the nutrition in food, which we have no idea exactly what nutrition is in food. We know a few vitamins, minerals, and molecules, but there's much more than we will ever know.
Yeah.
And so over using her food plan for a few weeks, she became more and more tolerant to different foods, and her food, the range of foods that were then starting to test good for her, changed. And I find this so much with people. People release weight, they release different kinds of discomforts in their body, and bloating and gas is huge these days. On my website, actually, I have a link to what I call the 30-second gut flush, which helps to balance the body and actually helps to trim the waist, but helps a lot with bloating and gas and balancing the body. But using your best foods, learning what your best foods are, can actually release those kind of things. Many testimonials of people that had been on medications to, stop the bloating and gas, and eating their best foods just helped their body to not have that happen anymore. Let's see, a lady I talked to yesterday, one of my clients, she said, and we worked with her before the holidays, And, most people will say, oh my gosh, I put on 16, 20 pounds during the holidays because I was eating all this stuff and overeating and whatnot. Well, we worked on her for emotions and the best foods. And in her session with me yesterday, she said, I want you to know I lost 16 pounds over the holidays. And I'm going, what? That's wonderful. That's unheard of. And she said, I was satisfied. I knew when I was full. I stopped eating when I was full, and I ate when I was hungry. And she goes, some days I was really satisfied with one full meal. And so many stories like that. Getting over allergies, things that were supposed allergies for them, or skin clearing up, and energy, just getting back to feeling like a kid again and having more energy than you have in a lot of times. Because if you're overeating too, it takes a lot of energy to digest. So those also pets. Working with pets and testing our beloved pets. One wonderful beloved little Roxy the Boxy. I loved her so much. She was losing hair, and she was throwing up all the time, and which is bad for her and also bad for her owner and their carpets and so on. Discovered the best foods for her. One of them was that she needed some chicken in her diet, some actual real chicken. And her owner was, she was boiling a chicken for her, but then she found out at the pet food store they had the fresh and frozen section for pets. And the hair grew back with her food plan and some nutrition for that. The hair grew back on her, on her back. I had a rabbit that did not do well with carrots. Okay, this rabbit, her loving owner was feeding her carrots, and this rabbit did not do well with carrots.
Can you imagine a rabbit that doesn't eat carrots?
Yes, so people as well as humans. So people, I have lots of stories with people losing weight, getting to their best weight. Myself, in using my food plan, and over the many years, I'm down 40 to 50 pounds from what I used to be, and holding that very happily, eating pretty much what I want, testing what's on my food, and I can eat a wide variety of foods now, much more than what I used to be able to eat. I had many digestive problems in the past, not so anymore. So,
yeah, because I think it's it's that starting to show love to yourself and to your body, and then once you do, your body loves you back, allowing you to have whatever you want. I feel that's a balanced relationship, would you say?
Yes, yes, balance.
Okay.
Yes,
I'd love to for everybody that is watching and listening, what exactly would they get from you if they want to work with you? And if you can tell us a little bit more about that, and then tell us where they can find you, so if they want to work with you on their food code and emotions.
Well, my passion is helping you to help yourself. Over the years, I've worked with tens of thousands of people, because I've been doing this for about 25 years. Okay,
Wow.
so that adds up. That really adds up. And so that's one of the main reasons I wrote this book, is to help you, empower you to help yourself. So at my website is The Food Codes, codes with an S, TheFoods.com. And there you can get some really cool free stuff. Just click on the top tab to get the free stuff. You can purchase my book there. You can find it on Amazon.com as well. But and there's lots of information. I have a wonderful blog that you can just scroll through. There are just all sorts of gratitude, dieting, not dieting, just scroll around and find out some excellent information for you. You can actually connect with emotions and the emotion code. There's more free stuff on my website. So go to my website, thefoodcodes.com, and look around there.
And what about if they want to book a session with you and start to work with you on their program?
Send me a message through my website.
Okay.
Yep. Just go there and send me a message.
Amazing. Okay, before we wrap up, I'd love for you to give like a tip or an advice or whoever is watching and listening that you think might be helpful for them.
You bet. Number one, stop judging food. We live in a world full of judgment. This is good for you. That's not bad for you. Oh, what are you doing eating that? Actually, it's my chocolate cake right now, and I'm loving it. Thank you.
I love that.
Stop judging food. Do your best and bless the rest. And start learning to know when you're full and eat when you're full. Eat when you're hungry, and don't eat otherwise. But if you really do want something, do your best and bless the rest. So learn to stop judging and stop judging others and the way they're eating, the way they're looking, but love is all there is. So learn to love your food, learn to love yourself by stop judging and do your best.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Lana. This has been incredible. And it's been a great pleasure for me to have you on my show today. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And for everybody watching and listening, please go check out her website and please go buy her book because it's amazing. Even just if you don't need to have a particular diet right now, or if you don't feel this is for you, but it's full of amazing information that you can always use later on, and it's very specific, so I hope you get inspired for whenever you want. But really all the links will be in the box below for whoever is watching on YouTube and in the notes for whoever is listening. And thank you so much, everybody. If you like this episode, please give us some comments, some stars, subscribe. And then thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you and talk to you next week. Bye Lana.
Bye thanks again. You're wonderful.
Your heart is full and wanting more. Your future's at the door.